Today I'm drawing Mona Kimura, the Japanese kickboxing sensation. She's a dynamic fighter, but outside the ring her expressions and body language feel relaxed and playful, and that contrast is one of the things that interested me in drawing her. Physically, she's a great subject, slim, strong, athletic, and well-defined, yet still distinctly feminine, and capturing that balance between strength and softness is part of the challenge that I'm looking forward to. So I'm going to start out by setting up the pose using a basic mannequin. I'll draw the head, rib cage, and pelvic bone, and then get the arms and legs in place and go from there. Yeah, I just want to add in a few details to the mannequin so when I draw the forms over top of it, you know, it's a little easier and I know where things are going and why they're going there. So here I'm just drawing out to the elbow and then back up to the shoulder there. And then you can see I drew in the hip bone right to the top of the pelvic bone there, and that's going to add a nice little landmark for me to draw in the hips later on. And I'm putting the hem of the skirt lower than it is in the photo, just so I can draw more of the abs later on. And here I'm just roughing out the arms and the hand. I probably could have slanted the head over a little more, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to copy the photo exact, so it doesn't matter. Though it is a little more expressive when her head's tilted over like that. And I like to know where the greater trochanter is so I can draw the widest part of the hips. The hands are a very interesting shape too. You probably wouldn't think to draw them like that unless you saw the photo. And you can see I've lengthened the torso a little bit too, which I like to do just because it kind of reminds me of, you know, Neil Adams always lengthening out his torsos and characters. In the past I used to make all my characters too stocky and short, and I like to lengthen everything out now. Just putting in the shadows. So here I'm going to start doing the head and the face, and I'm not going to try and worry too much about doing an exact likeness of her face. Just get the general idea. Especially since the face area is pretty small, it's hard to get the details 100% right. So just trying to block in a smile and the laughing eyes that are pushed up from the cheeks. So just basic details like that. For the hair, I'm not trying to do a lot of detail, I'm just trying to get a basic shape in there. At this size of a drawing, the shape is more important than a bunch of details, so that's all I'm trying to do with it. Just block in the shapes. If this breakdown is helping, hit subscribe. I'm building a full series on drawing dynamic fighters and athletic anatomy step by step. I know I'm going to come back and do the hands later, so I'm not worried too much about how, rough they are right now. Yeah, I hadn't ever thought about drawing a female kickboxer, but one of her fights just came through on YouTube, and I just decided to watch it, and she's so dynamic and kind of like a fun spirit that I thought, oh, I should try and draw this person. And in the next drawing, I'm going to draw her doing a real nice high kick, and it's pretty dynamic. So I thought I'd just do this fun victory pose that she's doing here. I think that's her victory pose anyway, and just do it for fun. And okay, so I'm just going to redraw the skirt here, clean it up a little bit. When I draw something like this pleated skirt, and I've never drawn one before, it makes me wonder how they're created and everything like that. And sometimes I'll go and look up how things are created, and then you can just draw them with a lot more confidence. Yeah, try not to be afraid to erase stuff and do it again. If you see something that you don't like, feel free to take the time to erase and redraw. I see all the pros do that all the time. And now I'm redoing the hands for the final time here. They don't end up perfect, but they're a lot cleaner, and so it was worth doing it one more time. I finally realized I had to move the hand back, so to give myself more room for the fingers and get everything the proper width and length and all that stuff. So anyway, this was a real fun pose to draw. I really enjoyed doing it. For me, probably the most fun part is always just doing the basic rough out of the mannequin and getting the basic shapes in, because everything else after that is just details, which is also fun. But I think the main challenge is getting the initial drawing laid out and get all the proportions right and everything. That's still my most fun accomplishment. Because you can massage and shade for forever, and but once you have all the structure in place, it's fun and easy to do. And I might go back and color this digitally too sometime, so we'll see how that goes. When you think about it, it's kind of funny. I've seen her do this after she, kicks somebody in the head and knocks them out. So it's a contrast of I don't know if it's emotions or whatever, personality, I guess. The fighting spirit versus the fun, victorious, happy person that seems to be inside of her. Indomitable spirit.